My big mouth. I got a big mouth. Can't help it. I talk from my heart. I'm real. You know what I'm saying? Whatever comes, comes. But my controversy probably. And it's not my fault. I'm trying to find my way in the world. You know, I'm trying to be somebody.
We've all been there. You meet someone new. You run through the usual questions. And then, silence. That slow, heavy pause where you both suddenly want to reach out to your phones. I know that feeling well. Weddings, work events, parties, stuck making conversation with a distant relative you barely recognize or a stranger you'll probably never see again. For a long time, I assumed I was just bad at this, maybe even antisocial. Turns out I was just untrained. Conversation isn't really about confidence or charisma. It's a skill, and like any skill, it responds to practice. I spent years fumbling through awkward exchanges, paying attention to what worked and what didn't until a pattern started to emerge. There are 4 things that make conversations flow naturally. No tricks, no scripts, just a shift in how you approach them, and you can start today. So pay close attention, because what I'm about to share will change how you show up in every conversation, forever. 1. Ask intentional questions. If someone says, "I tried a new restaurant this weekend," you could simply respond, "Oh, that's nice," and let the conversation fade. Alternatively, you could engage more meaningfully by asking follow-up questions such as, "What kind of food do they serve? Would you go back?" Or, "Do you often try new places?" Even if the topic itself doesn't particularly interest you, these questions demonstrate attentiveness and create the impression of genuine interest. They also help sustain the conversation and give you the ability to guide its direction. Ultimately, most conversations are a sequence of questions and answers, and the person asking the questions often shapes the flow. The key lies in asking the right ones. Which leads to the second point, find common ground. This is where connection really happens. We relate more easily to people who share our interests, experiences, or values. Sometimes it's obvious, other times it takes a bit of effort, but if you ask good questions and pay attention, you'll find something in common. Once you do, the conversation becomes more natural and enjoyable. Not every conversation will flow perfectly, and that's okay. Awkward pauses happen. They're not failures, just moments of space. Get comfortable with them. In the end, good conversations aren't about charm or confidence, but curiosity, patience, and presence. If you ask intentional questions, listen actively, and find common ground, you'll rarely run out of things to say. The goal isn't to be interesting, it's to be genuinely interested. Third point, listen more than you speak. Many people assume that being good at conversation means talking more, but the opposite is true. To improve your conversational skills, you need to listen more. Genuinely, not the kind of listening where you are simply waiting for your turn to speak, but active listening. This means giving your full attention rather than mentally rehearsing your next response. When you focus only on what you are going to say next, you often miss the essence of what the other person is communicating, which can lead to responses that feel disconnected or off topic. In contrast, active listening provides you with meaningful insight. You begin to notice details, emotions, and subtle cues that naturally lead to more thoughtful and relevant follow-up questions. And lastly, make peace with silence. This one takes time. For many people, silence feels like something that must be fixed immediately. The moment a conversation pauses, there's an urge to fill it with anything, often making things worse. But silence is not the problem. The reaction to it is. When you allow a pause to exist without rushing to speak, something interesting happens. The other person often continues, sharing something more genuine, something they might have otherwise held back. Silence creates space for deeper conversation. It signals confidence, patience, and control. So practice it. When a pause comes, let it breathe. Count to 3 before speaking. You may find that the most meaningful moments come from what follows. This is what sustains a conversation, not clever remarks, but genuine attentiveness. As one well-known quote puts it, most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. Strive not to fall into that pattern. Subscribe if this helped, and tell me in the comments, which situation makes you run out of things to say the most? A date, an interview, meeting new people?